Okay, so the very first choice in episode 2 was apparently whether or not if we told AJ to give up his gun or not. And I'm actually quite surprised that the first choice wasn't whether or not if we told him that he's a murderer or if he was justified shooting Marlon. Like, I'm actually kind of surprised that that wasn't the main choice, but it's actually the different outcomes of what would happen if you told him what would happen. So you and 65% of players told AJ to keep his gun, and of course I told him to keep it because, well, he needs it in case of the walkers and whatever. And 34% of players gave AJ's gun to Lewis. I don't know why they would do that. Well, the 1% pretty much didn't intervene, and AJ, I guess, gives away the gun or keeps it depending on whether or not if you tell him he's justified or if he's a murderer. So I guess I'll give you an idea of how many people sided more with AJ or whatever, but I told him that what he did was murder, but I told him to keep his gun because he needed it in case of walkers and whatever. Yes, he made a mistake, and it's a huge, huge fuck-up mistake, but at the same time, he needs the protection. We need the protection when we're out there in the world. And you and 52% of players told Violet to shoot Lily and got Lewis shot, while 48% of players told Lewis and Violet to run away from Lily and Abel. I don't really have an explanation for this choice, it just kind of happened. You and 93% of players spared the walker, honoring James' request. That does not come as a surprise, that the majority spared the walker, honoring James, who turns out to be a whisperer, while 6% of players killed the walker after James asked you not to, and 1% of players let James throw the rock to distract the walker. But the reason why I honor James' request is because I want to be able to grow at least a trusting connection with him, and that's pretty much why I chose to spare the walker, even though logically I would just kill it. You and 59% of players spend time stargazing with Violet, while 41% of players help Lewis tune his piano. And I hang out with Violet because, well, if you already saw the last episode, you know why. It was the most romantic moment ever. And you and 56% of players rescued Violet instead of Lewis, while 44% of players rescued Lewis instead of Violet. Now, of course, if I was able to save both, I would definitely have saved both and whatever. But the reason why I went with Violet first was because, well, she's Clementine's girlfriend, so that's kind of logical and whatever. Yeah, and apparently there's no percentage for what you make Violet feel, apparently. You and 89% of players left Ruby feeling grateful, so mass majority. You and 36% of players left James feeling trusted. I'm kind of surprised that it's at a low percentage, honestly. You and 42% of players left 10 feeling ashamed, and I didn't mean to, call him out for his delusion or anything like that. That was not my intent. You and 56% of players allow Lewis to be kidnapped, so obviously that percentage is based on the fifth choice within this episode. You and 29% of players left Lily feeling unsettled. Mitch is dead. Spoilers. And Abel is captured. And you and 67% of players left AJ feeling repentant. And there's no percentage choices for the others in the school, and then of course there's the items that you can find around the map.